Hello. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Can you all hear me? Just want to make sure. Can everyone hear me? Let's see how we got. Very good. Cool. Very good. Very good. There's two ways you guys can talk to me today. The first is through the chat here on YouTube that I just pointed at, or you can go to Teams and message me there. I've got that pulled up above my YouTube setup. Um, yes, I am reading the chat. So we're going to start with something simple. The topic under discussion today is the history of disease and pandemics in, history and its impact. That was the topic that was chosen by some of the people I asked yesterday when I said, when I said I was doing a live stream. So let's take a look. There are, let's go with 17 pandemics that have happened in history. And no, Brian, you do not have to take notes. You can just come in here and listen if you'd like. So we got that going. We're going to be looking at the three most impactful. We'll be looking first at the Spanish flu, the most recent one that changed the world. Then we'll be looking at the Black Death, another game changer. And the third, we'll be looking at the Great American Die-Off. So if you have a question, make sure that you put it in the chat, message me on Teams, and let's get started. And there will not be homework from this live stream. No, but I might do something later. This will not be on a test, no. All right. Let's get started. The Spanish flu was the most recent disease to really impact the world. And if we look at the map back here, it started here and went all over here. Everything. Just all of it. All of it. Everyone gets sick. And it starts in 1918, only 100 years ago, and lasts for 2 years, the Spanish flu. Yes, Antarctica too. There were scientists there that got the Spanish flu as well. The Spanish flu killed more people than World War One. However, the Spanish flu spread through, hospitals. It actually starts in Europe, especially here with soldiers that were in the trenches. Um, and it just quickly spread throughout both sides involved in World War One. Spread to Germany, into England, down into Italy before expanding into Austria. It quickly got on ships headed back to America through infected soldiers. And it just spread immensely quickly. It infected approximately 27% of the world. Not every person had it. Approximately 500 million had it. About a quarter of the world. And of those 500 million, about 10% died. Of course, as all diseases, it comes from animals. In fact, that's where almost all of these diseases that become pandemics come from. They come from other animals. That's what makes them so deadly. From the Spanish flu, approximately 50 million died. No, Carla, it did not come from the government. Did not come from the Chinese government either, Jose. It came from rats, as most diseases do. Well, it started really, like I said, in the trenches. Rats just simply were sick with their own diseases, and it sort of just spread to humans via fleas and ticks. And much of the world was infected by this disease. It quickly spread throughout all seven continents. So, the reason I'm teaching this right now, the reason we're going over this, is because the Spanish flu is the most recent example of when you ask a question, Molly. The Spanish flu is the most recent example of a modern pandemic. It changed the world forever. And I do mean this in a serious way. The Spanish flu was, well, allowed for the research of new medicine and new technology and better treatment for people. I don't see your questions, Seth. Yes, I did. I looked back up, Seth. Um, yes, it did survive in both cold and warm environments. Many of these pandemics that actually happen in history do. Um, However, the Spanish flu again changed the world. It resulted in the destruction of, well, it aided in the destruction of the Austrian, the German, the Russian, Ottoman empires. Not only that, it 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 resulted in the increased devotion to hospitals, especially the American Red Cross, um, and especially ended the World War I in the Allied favors. Who was the least infected during this time period? Well, let's take a look. During this time period, as it spread, it didn't really leave most of the world infected. Comparatively, China actually got out of this flu relatively safe. This disease was, in fact, very much more deadly than the um, current virus, Molly. Um, it killed approximately 10% of those infected, compared to the current viruses, about 3%. Yes, this was one of the diseases where Asia was actually left relatively unaffected. China, Japan, and Korea were all left very unaffected. On the other hand, the European continents of Europe, America, and South America were just devastated by the disease. That's the first one. That's the most recent. However, there's one more that we really need to talk about, and that's going to be the Black Death. Oh, the Spanish. Before we move on, Spanish flu. Any final questions on that one? The Spanish flu eventually just died its way out. You either got infected and survived, or you died. That's the key for most of these diseases as pandemics, especially once they start. The disease either kills everyone it can, or tries to kill everyone it can and fails. No, they have not, Lisandro. The coronavirus ends in 1920ish. Not coronavirus. The Spanish flu ends in 1920, and the Spanish flu starts in 1918. It lasts a whole 2 years, making it's one of the most deadliest diseases in history. And let's actually take a look, see if I can find something for you. The Spanish flu came from its discovery. It really starts in Europe, and the scientists that discovered it first, I believe, were from Spain. If I'm not if I'm not getting my information messed up. If you want to know more about the Spanish flu, there's a link posted in the chat. Yes, eventually there became a cure for it, a vaccine. There was no cure. It's very difficult to make a cure for diseases such as this. The Spanish flu was just like every other flu. You just had, just moved it on. You became immune, or you made a vaccine that made you immune. No, I mean there is not a cure for that. So, any more questions on the Spanish flu? No, they are not, Liz. Yes, and that disease that was mentioned, coronavirus. Yes, indeed, especially hurts those that are affected by the lungs. Again, there was no cure really. It was just, you know, I'm going to read this from you from the book I've got in front of me. The Spanish flu spread because malnourishment, overcrowded medical camps and hospitals, and poor hygiene promoted superinfection. That's the thing. The Spanish flu lasted only 2 years, but it spread due to people crowding in to hospitals and people being sick due to the war and very poor hygiene. Um, and especially, it was prolonged suffering in bed. This was a disease that lasted for quite some time, and it affected everyone. This one was not specific to any one age bracket or demographic. You got it, or and you suffered from it. I will answer that question if we have time at the end by whoever just posted with if Corona gets worse. So, guys, let's move on to the second one. The Black Death. The Black Death is the most the deadliest disease to impact Europe. It wiped out 1/4 of its population, the Black Death, and spreads from Asia, starting along the trade routes here in the Middle East, before just coming into Europe. The bubonic plague, also as it's known as, the Black Death. It is also game changing. Yes, Europe was the most infected, Carla. The doctors wore those long nose masks because they thought that the incense that they put at the tip of the beak would keep the disease smell away. No, the Black Death was actually named for the spores that would form on the body. It's not named after any racial or ethnic groups. It's literally just from the sores that would develop. This disease was no pandemics start everywhere. Pandemics start wherever animals are. Pandemics start wherever dis- animals are. That is key. Because the Black Death and the Spanish flu and any other really disease, cholera, I'll just pull up a bunch of them. Asian flu, the Russian flu, MERS, swine flu, yellow fever. These all come from animals. They don't infect animals as badly. And how did you avoid getting the Black Death? You didn't. Yeah, animals spread diseases. It's simple as that. Um, that's the problem that's going to come over here with the New World. We'll get to that later. Yes, the virus actually starts with rats. The Black Death starts with rats. And it starts over here in Asia. And it devastates Asia before coming over to Europe. And then from the rats come the fleas that jump onto the humans, where it spreads then throughout Europe. And of course, the Europeans thought that the disease was being caused by cats, so they killed all the cats, which would hunt the rats, meaning the disease got worse. Yes, rats came to America through ships. A lot of these start with rats, Molly, yes. How did people just general? It was discovered. No, the Black Death just sort of happened. It's actually believes that the Black Death actually occurred before the major one in the 13th century, the 12th century, 13th, 14th centuries. They believe that it came first in the 500s and then again in the 1850s and again in 200s and then in the 17th century. The Black Death just periodically appears in history. And no, there was not a cure back then. There is treatment for the Black Death now. That's the key. Is that it was a long time ago, but the most recent outbreak of the plague happened in the 1850s, and that killed about 12 million people. The Black Death, the bubonic plague, kills about 200 million. The Black Death is still around, though it's like maybe one or two people get it a year. America had no effect from the Black Death, the original one at the very least, or the original several, because they were completely cut off at the time. Yeah, they were completely free from this effects. Um, the final one that we're going to talk about is what's known as the Great American Die Off. Although Black Death was mainly spread throughout Asia, Europe, and Africa. Any final questions on the Black Death? They did not find a cure, but they found treatment. Yes, you can still get it, but it's not very common. It's generally found in isolated cases. I think the most recent one was one person in Europe. Most infected, the Black Death attacked everyone. You have to also remember this was a period of time when people generally didn't live past 40. So, yes, Angel, some people still do die from it. Not many, but some do. It was very contagious. The disease infects you by having an animal bite you. It's not transmitted. Well, it can be transmitted through waste. It's generally um, transmitted through animal exposure, as most of these are. People were slightly shorter back then, but yes, that has nothing to do with disease. Yes, you can still get it in modern times, Alessandra, though um, not many. And Seth, it would actually be a 200 million kill streak. It started with rats. It could have gone through more, Kenya. All right then. Yes, it could have been any animal bite, but generally was fleas and ticks because those were the most prominent at the time. Metro PC. So, last plague, last pandemic we're talking about today, is the plague that devastated the New World. Um, during the discovery of the Americas. Um, when the Europeans arrived, they brought new diseases with them. Because here's the thing: Native Americans, the ones that were living in Europe, in America before the Europeans arrived, did not have many diseases. The New World, the Americas, did not have many diseases. That's key. So when the Europeans arrived with all those diseases I've been talking about, they brought them over and greatly infected the Native American presence here. And in this case, it was smallpox. And the smallpox disease estimated to kill about 90% of all Native Americans living in the New World. That was the last devastating diseases. Those are the most prevalent in history. The top four: the Black Death, the Spanish flu, and the smallpox epidemic. Smallpox, yes, did come from cows, but that one has actually a vaccine. That one uh, can be cured and can be treated as well. It basically left the New World devastated, uh, but you know, it also spurred innovation as well. It forced the remaining Native Americans to unite closer together, but unfortunately led even more to their demise as more Europeans came in. All right, we have about 5 minutes left with today's live stream. Does anyone want to ask me any general questions about pandemics, disease, and so forth? How many people died from this one? This one killed approximately 50 million. Smallpox was a very deadly disease. And no, you cannot donate, Seth. I'm doing this. So, ask a question, then I might say your name. The next live stream is going to be happening on Friday. Um, it's going to be covering mainly for the seventh graders. I'll be doing the study guide with them. Um, since they've got a test coming up, so we'll be reviewing the study guide together. That one will last about an hour. Emmy, I have not gotten really sick from any other disease besides the cold and the random flu. When will there be a cure for corona? Um, that's difficult. It could be as short as a few months or as long as a year and a half. Brian, you'd go to jail for a long time. Seth, my day is fantastic. Alessandra, no, they did not know what was happening. They thought they were just getting punished from their gods. Yes, Molly. No, I'll give the study guide to you beforehand. Um, and you can just take notes as we talk about it on here. Sixth grade will have a focus live stream next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Eighth grade will have a focus live stream probably on Wednesday or Thursday. The sixth graders do not have a test yet. They have an essay. Azaria, I do not know yet. Frankie, it would be a very long time. You'd be thrown in jail for a very long time. Eighth grade, you might get a test coming up soon. But again, we will have a discussion with that later. Yes, I would be emailing it out for seventh grade. And I'll also be putting it into the Teams messages. Izzy, I've not heard that. Sixth grade, yes, you would also get a study guide as well. No, Adrian, I'm not going to say those two words. Alessandra, that's difficult to determine because it's not going to happen yet. Yes, chapter 13 and 14 was for the entirety of this week. I'm trying to find where your question goes. It keeps on disappearing. Oh, Anthony Sanchez. Unknown. He's the test showed negative, so that's what we're gonna go with. Well, you basically are doing all the classwork you've missed. That's fine. Aaliyah. No, the test came back negative. Izzy, they're trying to, but there's no way to fix it. Minigia is 16. I don't know your name. Yes, I am, Bryce. Good to see you. Well, of course someone disliked the video. Emmy. Jasmine, could we have prevented the disease? United States could not have. China, probably not. It spread, as all diseases do, from animals. It spread from bats. Sorry, Aaliyah, you got to do the homework. Bryce, we were just learning about infectious diseases. Marilyn, we again, it's hard to talk about that. It's possible we could have prevented the spread, but the onset of the disease itself, no, that was impossible to prevent. No, you cannot use your homework pass on all of this, Emmy. Whatever you want is for lunch, Kenya. So, oh yeah, I've got to go vote today. It's Illinois, so I've got to go vote still. Still got that coming up. And no, I'm not going to say Dream Boys or Aw Man. There are cases of corona across the state of Indiana. But again, a lot of these things that are being done are precautions, not because the disease is especially wide prevalent locally. It's precautionary. The essay is due April 7th. Yes, I know I did. That's why I said it that way. Sixth grade just has the essay. I don't know who's going to win. I'm not going to talk about politics on this session. This is about disease. No, Sebastian. Generally, the disease has spread from animals to humans. It's very difficult to go back from humans to animals. Yes, sixth grade only has an essay. Seventh grade only has notes in study.com, while eighth grade has notes on the chapters. No, Liz, you cannot have that. All right. Are there any final questions? Any final questions? I got to wrap this up. Yeah, humans can be very infectious. It's just part of life, though. We spread disease all the time because across all of our hands is bacteria. That's why you always got to clean your hands. I'm not answering that question, April. My day's been fantastic. Thank you for asking, people. I already said that, Seth. People keep buying everything because we don't know if we'll go on lockdown. We probably won't right now. Yes, Yesenia, go ahead. The other pandemics that we talked about today, where we had the Black Death, the bubonic plague, that's the first one. We talked about the Spanish flu, and we talked about smallpox. It spreads at first from animals can get the coronavirus, though it's only happened once. Do you think everyone's freaking out for no reason, or do you think they're lying to us and it's worse than we think? I don't know yet, Aliyah. It's possible, but it's also possible that everything is just, going to be all right in the end. Right now, we just got to take precautions. I'd rather have overreacted than underreacted. Yes, SARS and MERS were flu-like viruses as well. SARS killed about 770 people, while MERS killed 850. No, you cannot use the homework pass for the essay. It's a project. If they did, they gotta let it get completely out of control. If you need to email me, I will post my email into the Microsoft Teams chat room. Um, so, last call for questions. No, right now there's a lot of things that have been suspended in the United States. But just we do what we got to do. Yes, Sebastian. Emmy, you know the answer to that question. There you go, Adrian. Air 5. All right. Why are we having so much trouble with the common flu? Because it's not the common flu. It's sort of spread. Um, it's slightly different. The common flu is more. It's complicated. The common flu is really more prevalent, but the coronavirus spreads so quickly and it can be so not symptomatic. You don't even have to show symptoms to spread it. With the flu, you know you're sick. The disease that's currently happening now is different, is because um, it it spreads without you even knowing. What's going to happen when hospitals get filled? Well, hopefully we don't reach that point. Italy is still under lockdown. Is there going to be another Great Depression? I hope not. Great Depressions are not fun to live through, though I will talk about that as the next topic. Feel free to post in the comment section below at the end of this video what you want me to talk about next. The next live stream will be for 7th grade uh, on Friday when we talk about their study guide for their test. We will be approximately streaming that. We'll do two, one at noon to 1, and then another one at 7 p.m. Um, the noon one is for those of you that are early birds. The 7 p.m. one is the one for those of you that are, night owls. All right, then. If that's it, I will see you all in the next video, in the next stream. Sebastian, I don't know. He shouldn't. There's been no proof of that. Bye, everyone. I'll still be on Microsoft Teams after when this is all done if you have any more questions. All of you do your homework. Bye, everyone. I don't know your name, Minigia16. You haven't said. Bye, everyone. No, I'm not going to say any more Dream Boys. Not going to say any more Aw Mans. There you go. That's it. Have a great day, everyone. Stay good. Bye, Marilyn.